Hey all, it's Sloan. I'm here working on my place in the Vinterra server. I've been playing here a lot, so I figured I'd let you in on what I've been up to. I was actually working on a Minecraft video, but we already blew past 100 vintage story aficionados. Love you all, thanks for all the positivity. So I've been way down here in the south with my fellow, we call ourselves Ascolans, in reference to these stuffed deep-fried olives from Ascolani, appropriately named Olive Ascolan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know, I'm not Italian. I know someone who's going to get on me if I did pronounce that wrong. On the bright side, I won't be doing it again. And as you might expect, there's grand ambitions of olive groves and a bustling Mediterranean cityscape spanning this entire plain here. But right now, all we've got is a few construction sites and a ruin to squat in. Now, to be fair, we've only had a couple days to get a foothold here, and promise you won't call me a contrarian, but I wanted to experiment with an Asian build style in this game for a long time. And I've never ever played in the south. No rice, no bamboo, until now. I finally saw my chance, so I've named myself the Chinese Ambassador. The whitest Chinese ambassador you'll ever meet. But that aside, the server's been up since January 24th, so you've missed a few days, and let me fill you in on how we got here.
Like any story, ours starts at spawn. I woke up late, having crunched all night before to finish my guide, which you should watch if you haven't. I put a lot of work into it. Wink wink. So I missed the initial rush and logged in right as night fell. With spawn stripped of food by 60 hungry seraphs, I rushed southward 1,000 blocks toward the first familiar name I saw, the name of a fellow Ascolan, one Dr. Shakamoto. Both starving blackguards, we spent the night around the fire rationing between ourselves whatever food we could scavenge. Come sunrise, Shakamoto went to rendezvous with the rest of the Ascolans at what would be our temporary home. But with concerns of resource scarcity and a desire to test my speedrunning abilities, I set off further to the east. In just an hour, I had charcoal, a crucible, mining supplies, 100 delicious roots to fuel me, and by Dave did I go mining. I whacked so many ores, revisited so many marked copper deposits, and after a generous donation of copper to my compatriots, I set off to find bronze, prospecting a quantity of zinc myself before successfully following a dubious lead to bismuth. With but one brief foray into a shallow cave, Lady Luck guided me to an exposed vein of iron just north of my encampment. In just 3 hours, we had a bronze anvil, access to iron, and I headed off to dinner for a family member's birthday. The Ascolans were productive, processing iron while throwing up a sprawling rammed earth fortress with an inner courtyard, dedicated kitchen, smithy, and storage area, and when I returned, I requisitioned an iron pickaxe, all the better to scoop up meteors with, and headed south to scout out our new home ahead of time. The journey was long and arduous, with multiple peaks into single player to test temperature ranges for olive tree viability. I worked out that we'd need to be roughly 15,000 blocks south for the olive trees not to die in the winter. Wolves, bears, hyenas, and shivers nipped at my ankles all the way, but I made it south to our promised land where our daring adventurer discovered olives aplenty and a beautiful bay flanked by mountains. So I went to bed finally, and when I woke up, I checked the chat to find that Quito had posted a picture of an even nicer place 2,000 blocks north of me. Well, at least I dug up a few dozen ingots worth of meteor iron on my trip, but apparently they were already on their way south. What was meant to be our temporary home for a couple weeks was abandoned in a day. And somewhere along the line, that anvil, the cornerstone of all the progression I had worked for, was lost in transit. So I went all the way back north to see if we'd forgotten the thing. Surely it would be faster than starting all over. I couldn't get that lucky twice. But the fort was empty. They'd taken everything but the kitchen, not sink, fire pit? So where was that anvil? But as if placed there by some guardian angel, in the old smithy lay a single tin ingot. I carried that thing back south like Sam Porter Bridges in the hit game by Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding. Like all of human connection depended on it. I retread the same path 2 hours long until I finally arrived back at our new home with just enough tin to make a new anvil again. And when I was done with it, I logged out with it in my inventory to make sure there were no repeats. And the next day, I found out the missing anvil was also in someone's inventory when they logged out. So I could have just waited. Seems like a common theme. Anyways, shortly after I went to bed following our second day, our temporary shelter was abandoned once more. Turns out the area around it was almost exclusively temporally unstable, and that thing was put up in the one spot that was safe. So that same Shakamoto from earlier bravely cleared out a conveniently placed castle ruin to its east of its rust-born inhabitants, and that's where everyone's been squatting since.
So it was a bit of a journey. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little flustered because this is probably the first time you're hearing me without me doing teacher voice. So hopefully you don't mind the more laid-back sort of commentary. So I'll be popping in from time to time to fill you in on what's been going on, because I have very, very grand ambitions here. Alright, back to the place I was working on in that opening shot. If I want to explain my thought process here, it's probably easiest if I open up an art program and I draw over what I've got here to show you what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. So I've got a screenshot open here in Clip Studio. So this whole meteor here, that was already there when I got here. I found it while I was digging out my floor. But I wanted to incorporate it into the build since it was already here. And I want to make it into a sort of pond with little cattails, some lily pads, whatever little water flora I can add to it. Maybe even add a big rock sticking out of it. There's this very common thing in the wealthier sort of housing where the entire house is surrounded by this wood deck. And I always loved the look of that, especially in like old Japanese mansions. I can add a sort of light source here, which this being Vintage Story will probably have to be a lantern on top of something. I haven't really finalized what it should look like, but something along these lines should be nice. I want very pronounced supporting structure to the building, and upstairs is where I'll be sleeping, and I'm thinking I'd love to have a flat roof to the kitchen here that can serve as a balcony of sorts. Maybe with some sort of shade structure on top of it. You know, most every day it's upwards of 30 degrees Celsius where my character's living, and I'm trying to keep things humble here. So I envision the roof as a pretty straightforward Chinese village house. But that same sort of roof design can eventually be extended to any manner of structure. I'm gonna be totally honest, I have no idea what a traditional medieval Chinese blacksmith would look like, but I want my own workshop area that doesn't require me to go to that ruin we've all been squatting in. We've got our roof just extending diagonally downward with our supporting structure propping it up, and I want to build a little forge hereabouts and have its chimney just stick right up through here. And eventually, I want to take this whole area here and, God willing, if I even have the patience for this, fill it all in and give myself room to expand. And we can continue this path through and build something much more grand with a stone foundation and turn all this into a dedicated workshop area. But that's for much further down the line. So for now, I don't really care about this. I want to get a nice little house going. I think it's about time I upgrade to some real armor. I kind of love and hate this thing. It's so loud. Seems I'm being recruited to do more blacksmithing than I expected. A fair trade for borrowing that accursed machine. I didn't know it could get this foggy. I can't see more than like 5 feet. Anyways, I'm actually having a problem here where in the summer it's way too hot for cranberries to grow, so I can't get more pink dye for pink daub. So I guess I'll have to leave the wall in my kitchen unfinished until it gets cool enough again. I kind of underestimated the complexity of filling something this size with water. Oh my goodness. It really wants to drag me under. And since I have to hold control to place the water, I can't hold shift to... Well, point made. For now, I just want to get it full. I'll worry about prettying it up after I'm done with the house. Being up above it like this, I'm actually kind of looking at that meteor iron down there and thinking back to that rock idea I had, where I said I wanted to stick a big rock up out of the water and chisel it into something. And I'm thinking maybe I could make it into like a viewing platform of sorts. I kind of like having a way across the water. It's a really small little pond, but I think it adds something. Maybe what I'll do is I'll extend it way up above the water and add a little wood platform where you can walk around it and sort of view it from all sides. I think that'd be kind of neat. I'm also going to have to go look for more meteors to get some swevite to make the crater nicer, but that's easy. Those things are free. Maybe I'll make a short about how to find meteors, because it's pretty easy once you know how. I intentionally left it out of my guide because it's a little spoilery. I got really excited the first time I found one of those. It wouldn't have been the same if I already knew they were there. Oh, how I love the hassles of working with water. Maybe someone knows if there's a better way I could be going about this, because right now, I don't really mind it that much because it's small, but if I need to make anything bigger in the future, I'm going to hate it. How did you get here? I don't think I've ever held a trapdoor anywhere near this door. There we go. Nice, calm pond. I just realized while I'm strolling through the dark with nothing going on, I should probably disclose that we were playing with a few mods here. I quite like them, personally. It's a Vanilla Plus experience as described by the server itself. We've got the stone quarry here, so it's a lot easier to get stone than it might otherwise be. And we've got expanded foods as well, which adds so many meals. There's a few other things. An expansion to beekeeping. I think almost everyone knows from Golden Combs if they play with mods. It's incredibly popular. But anyways, I'm going to dig a bit of a trench here because I need to get more food, and I'm doing it in an incredibly cursed way. I'm a very hungry blackguard.
but I can't be bothered to sit there making and eating stew all day. I like food that stacks. And I haven't gotten to farming yet, so I don't have bread. So I've been throwing red meat into a fire and just charring the hell out of it. Since the server's on 30-day months and runs while I'm asleep, charred red meat lasts a couple months in my cellar, which translates to about a couple real days. So I restock like once a day, get some more hides, start working on more leather, and then I have a whole bunch of food. It's been good, but I'm not gonna lie, this whole time I've been chasing gazelle into the ocean, and I was just thinking that if I dug a trench like this, I could probably just chase them into the trench, and once they fall in, they're just easy pickings. I know they can't jump that high because I've seen them get stuck behind a too high wall before. Would I be wrong to assume that this is a thing that people actually did back in the day? It's kind of interesting how this game can mirror real life sometimes. It's realistic in a way that's not just annoying. I did see this post going around saying how come realistic games are only real for things that suck? Why can my steel axe only cut down like 10 trees? And as a Zomboid player especially, I do definitely feel that. It makes sense in Vintage Story for balance purposes. Smithing would be a pretty inconsequential game mechanic if you never ever touched it again after you made your first steel axe, but I can always find appreciation when the realism actually helps me in a situation like this. It turns out animals are stupid and humans can run for a really long time. Kind of wish I could do like in RuneScape and set up some logs over these pits that would collapse when the animals walk over them. I know Primitive Survival lets you do like a Team Rocket pitfall trap covered up with dirt and leaves, but we're not running that mod, and something about catching gazelle just makes me think of catching sunlight antelopes in Varlamore. And if you don't play RuneScape, these are just words, but if you know, you know. Iron Man, by the way. And this should be adequate. This is where we were originally set up down here. I wonder if anyone would mind if I tore the old place down. It's been stripped down to the dirt. Maybe I could put a fence around it and make it into an actual monument. It's just so iconic. I mean, we lived here for like a whole 8 hours. Oh, my trap's already got one. It's not even daytime. Well, there's my proof that it works. It's got 2! And every single gazelle gives me 1 or 2 large hides, a little bit of fleece, and lots of yummy red meat. Alright, well, we saw some success with animals accidentally falling into our trap, but let's see how our hunting technique works when I do it on purpose. I'm feeling like a sheepdog. Alright, get in there, come on. Into the trench. It works! That's so much better than chasing them into the ocean. Once we get some chickens and rice growing, it's gonna be red meat dumplings every day. Hey, that hyena's trying to get in on my business. This is so easy, I think it would go against hunting laws in some countries. I wonder if I'm going to spark a little debate in our Askeland nation. So I was on my way back home, and I noticed that this structure has popped up. I swear this wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't kidding when I said that this wouldn't be construction sites for long. I mean, I recorded the intro maybe 2 days ago, it's the 29th now, and these houses are being built. This one especially, this is some nice chisel work. I really like these little walls. We've got some custom stairs, a little bridge. Well, that's frightening. This is Deathvale's home. I wonder if he'll mind if I take a little look around. What you got in these? I don't know what I expected. I'm starting to feel like maybe I shouldn't go any deeper into here. Unless I want my skull added to the piles. Oh, this is so nice. He's got some little custom lights set into the wall. And there's a big quarrying project going on down here. I'm impressed. This was quick. We've only even been down here for maybe 3 days. Anyways, let's get this meat on the fire so I can stop eating fat and clogging my arteries. So, I chiseled that window about 24 hours ago. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice window. Afterwards, I went straight to bed with a migraine. But after sleeping on it, I'm not really feeling the cypress for the deck here. So, I went out and got some redwood. I still gotta replace that fence eventually, but I wanted to do something chiseled for that. I love you, Pantograph. Chisel tools makes my life so much easier. I'm trying to make sure that when I'm placing these support beams, I'm not targeting the chiseled block, because they're very weird with chiseled blocks still. I am just baffled trying to make these things work. I must be out of practice. Finally! Well, that's a cute lamppost. I've been coming back to this ladder every once in a while because I've got a prospect for halite over here, and I'm really hoping to find some salt. I swear the majority of the ground here is made of coal. But right now, what I'm trying to get is some quartz. When I'm making chiseled windows, I way prefer quartz glass to regular glass, specifically because it's not clear. I think while there's a place for clear glass in a lot of builds, in chiseled blocks, glass is almost invisible. I know sometimes that's the point, but the cloudy look of clear quartz really completes things, I think. It adds a texture that would otherwise be lacking. I don't need too much, but I want to be able to make maybe a dozen pieces of quartz glass. And what they don't tell you about working with quartz glass is that you need to mine a lot of quartz. The last season, I claimed an island for myself, and I built an entire manor where I planted myself an apple orchard, and I made cider. Every single window in that manor was chiseled with quartz glass. I started using gold in every single lantern because I found so much gold mining all the quartz I needed to make those windows happen. I suppose I'll drop the regular quartz off. Can't imagine they've bothered to mine too much yet. Oh, how I wish you would ripen someday. Perhaps when summer ends. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. It's very, very dark at night. That's not the secret. The secret is that at night, I've been tucking myself in the cellar and going offline so that I can work on editing. I'll get back to work in the morning. I've been staring at these logs for a while, trying to figure out what I want to do with them. Normally when I'm doing chisel work, I tend to have some reference images up on my other monitor. You know, just to get an idea of what it is that I'm doing. In this case, I think I'm just going to wing it. For exterior features, there's a certain level of blockiness that I try to adhere to. For something small like these support struts, it's okay for them to be high in resolution, working down to the smallest possible voxel. But for things that are more obvious, I try to keep things a little less granular and a little more implied. If we look all around, the entire landscape is just made up of full blocks. For the most part, I feel like if you get too deep into the level of detail, your house starts to clash with the place where you put it. I want it to fit nicely in this place that I've chosen. I don't want it to just stick out. I think for a railing like this, the 2x2 is about as small as I'm willing to go. And tell me I'm not crazy for thinking that. When you look at screenshots of this game, there's all sorts of beautiful builds that look great up close. And a well-chiseled build can look great, but I feel like it looks great exclusively on its own instead of as a part of a larger whole. That's pretty much where I'm trying to go with this. I feel like I'm starting to see the idea of something shaping up in my head here. This is another reason why I absolutely love chisel tools, and I don't think I could ever play single player without it. See, this is nice, but I don't like that it's disconnected. But chisel tools lets me easily fix that. Yeah, that's great. I really like that. There's always things that need a manual touch like here, but it saves a lot of time. And if I want to get extra funky with it, I can actually copy this, paste it here, and flip it. So I'm saving even more time. Genuinely probably the best quality of life mod in existence. And if you switch it to add shape, give it another flip, and that's a nice little railing for our deck done in a couple of minutes. I think it's a pretty basic shape, but the quote-unquote circles catch the eye just a bit without being too much. I'm very, very tired today, so I thought I'd get on some grindy chores. I went and found halite, but I found it so fast I didn't even think to record it. There's a ladder like right here. I went 15 blocks north, but look at this thing go. Yep, real good day to get some chores done. Got some real food. The others have been getting on steel. I didn't even have to do it myself this time. How nice. That's one of the upsides to playing in a group. Only one person has to make the steel furnace. Suppose now I'll go look for more iron because we're actually out. You can't make steel without iron. Okay, well, getting iron is being interrupted by a temporal storm.
This is a good chance to make me some money, and this place is relatively open and well lit. Alright, let's get going. I don't get it. Did I scare them all away? I'm gonna just sit right here until more enemies come up. Aww. That's it? What an underwhelming haul. Yeah, new storms are like exclusively bow-torn. They really shot me up good, and they always aim for the head. So I guess if we were to take anything away from that, it's to make a real helmet. Normally good body armor is statistically the most important, because half of the attacks coming in at you hit your body. But if you ever needed proof that projectiles damage whatever they actually hit visibly, I mean, look at the difference between my leg armor, which was already damaged when I got there, and my originally nice pristine helmet. Oh, hello. Did you have something to show me? Oh. Wait, that goes like straight through your house.
This is now just temporary until I establish the base.
I came in here a few days ago and it was a lot less fleshed out than this.
Oh, yeah. This bridge still isn't connected.
It doesn't have to be supported or anything. OSHA's not here. Yeah, I really like what you've been doing for the railing and stuff. It's really nice.
Thank you. So, here will be the main hall. With the big table and wine.
Man, you're moving fast.
And also, you come to this bridge. Here is my blacksmith.
Ah, of course. Yeah, I was living the same situation last season, just under my windmill in a big open hole in the ground. They tell you not to peek behind the curtains. This is what makes the show run up there.
From your house you can see my windmill.
Yeah.
It is not, other people cannot see it. I also made the hill a little bigger.
It's okay, you'll pretty it up later. At least that's what we all say.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely try. Maybe we could like make a path go around here on the lake.
I was actually thinking of putting my main structure in the water hereabouts.
Oh.
I was going to either fill it in or maybe put it on a stone thing sticking up out of the water. And I was going to eventually turn all this into a workshop. The path would be able to connect pretty nicely. Yeah. I wanted it to look like, you know when like a meteor hits, it throws a bunch of material into the air, right? And so if it hit the water here, it would have launched that up and then like cooled really fast. And obviously, I don't think it would actually look like this in real life. I just play it up a bit because it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Doesn't have to look like in real life.
You come around back and I haven't actually even finished the roof back here just yet.
That's okay. Oh, I have a rooftop blueprint.
Oh, really?
Help you. Like, we cannot copy prints, but here,
Ah, tragic.
take it.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have rooftops.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've been recording. It's not like it's not like I'm just gonna put you in it without your permission. But if you're fine with appearing, I can put some of this in there.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool.
My holes are still ugly, but it's okay.
I might have already toured your place a little bit on camera while you weren't there.
Oh, okay.
It was a few days ago, before when it was even less complete.
Oh, that's okay. That's why I didn't put a claim.
Alright, that's good.
I'm off to digging.
Good luck.
Likewise.
I don't think I'd ever gotten to speak to him over voice yet. What a friendly guy. You probably saw while I was talking to Deathveil that I actually got a lot of work done on the house off camera. Yeah, I couldn't really keep myself away from it even while I didn't feel so great. And honestly, I feel like this is a pretty good stopping point. There's always more work to be done, I can always add more detail, but if I work on this same thing for too long, I'm never going to get to anything else. So let's take a little tour of this, and then what I want to do is I want to go take a tour of the rest of the town. Because, as you can see, in the few days it's been since I started recording this episode, a lot of builds have sprung up or grown since. I haven't even been over here before. The place still needs furniture. And let's not even talk about the kitchen. This is a placeholder for the stove. This is temporary cellar access. I'll get to this soon enough, lied Sloan. I've got a spot here under the stairs where I can put actual cellar access. And upstairs we've got a comfy bedroom with a very nice view of outside. If we go outside here, we've got a little lounge area. Shady, comfy. I plan to put some sort of table and tea set out here. I don't think there's actually any tea I can drink in the game, but we can play pretend. And then, of course, there's the pond itself. I'm not so accustomed to making these organic sorts of things, and while I was explaining my thought process to Deathveil, I said this took a long time. I wasn't lying. If we find our chisel over here, this poor thing has taken a lot of abuse. I wanted it to look relatively natural, like it's always been here, but I didn't want it to stand out too much, so I kept going back and changing things. There's a certain level of smoothness I was trying to achieve under the water that is not there above the water, because water erodes things in a relatively smooth and uniform fashion, whereas the part exposed to wind and the elements would be coming off in little chunks. Then, of course, we have the illusion of curvature in the roof. That pronounced supporting structure I was talking about, and most importantly, I think this is some nice blending between the orange and pink wattle and daub. We still don't have our forge yet, but I'll get to that next time. I think a house like this deserves a like and subscribe, right? For now, let's go take a look around while we still got daylight. So every single day I come over here, there's more of these little things springing up. And I feel like this is something very incomplete. I like how these door frames look, but this is very obviously some kind of placeholder. Because the blue on these custom doors gives vibes of, like, a missing texture. Then over here we've got Noisemaker's place again. He has certainly added a fair bit of detail that wasn't here before, and if I peek in through the window, it looks like he's even starting to furnish it a bit, but I don't want to be a creep who stares through people's windows all day, so let's just appreciate it from the outside, huh? There's still obviously lots of room to do things out here. I don't know what he's planning exactly, but I like it. It's simple, subtle, and should blend into whatever we happen to do here. Oh, every time. Leave me alone. Okay, this is eclectic. Seems like someone really likes raiding ruins. I remember there being talk of a sort of antique shop opening up in town, so this might be the start of that. I might have to steal some ideas from this little garden. Its owner's not here right now, so I can't really ask about the thought process, but I'm very interested in seeing where this goes. Then, if I head up north here, I haven't actually seen this at all. Looks like we've got the start of another water feature. Very nice. Oh, could this be the start of the docks? This is starting to look very authentic. What's up? I'm touring around a little bit and looking at what I haven't seen for video purposes. This looks a lot like those pictures we've been looking at for inspiration. This is so authentic. Even just as it is now. Alright, cool. I'm gonna get moving while I still have daylight, because nighttime does not look very good on YouTube. Thanks for the little teeny tour. And now we have Lanty's Vineyard. It certainly looks like a vineyard. There wasn't a gate here before. Maybe I can find a way around. Yep, a lot of good that gate's doing. Like, everything's still very much a work in progress, but I just have to appreciate, again, just how authentic this looks. Everyone is so committed to the build style here. And I can tell just by this frame here that there's a lot coming, too. Is there a more impressive build in town to end things off on than this? The artists practicing their craft up there. But you know what's even more impressive to me than all this? We're only one settlement in the entire Vinterra server. In a week or two, I'll be taking a tour up north because I want to see what people have been up to. I've been down here in the south pretty much the entire time, and there's a lot going on here, but there's a whole server out there. On that note, let me shout out the Vinterra server for letting me do my recording here. I've been playing on here for about a year. The server runs seasonally, and we reset the map for the 1.20 update. The owners do a lot of work making sure that everything functions correctly. Last time, we actually had a pretty major issue with a mod, and they sat down and pushed out a patch for it themselves. And a lot goes on behind the scenes to make this place function. The server is whitelisted, but applications are very simple and run through their Discord. Whether you're interested in joining or just want to keep up on what's been going on, the website, www.vinterra.org, posts a live map and posts updates occasionally on what we've been up to. Make sure to stick around, and I'll have lots more to show you next time. Thank you.